Hi guys, it's Nadia here from the Vegan Italian Kitchen, and I am here with the awesome team of messy veggies to show you and present and cook the most delicious vegan Christmas that you and everybody else joining you at the dinner table can enjoy. So stick around and watch how we're going to do it. Christmas dinner with an entree, and have we got a treat for you? We are going to give you a seafood cocktail. You wouldn't believe it, would you? But we are going to use calamari or whatever seafood you use for a seafood cocktail, prawns as well. We've got our very humble mushroom. These are king oyster mushrooms, and it's quite amazing what you can do with these babies. You can cut them up, do all sorts of things, shred them, and they actually take on this texture that is very similar to calamari. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting. So what we're going to do to start with is create the calamari. So we're going to take 2 of the mushrooms, put the other 2 aside, and we're going to create that. So let's get a nice sharp knife and just create rings from them to start with. And do the second one. Okay. You don't really want the tops. I'm sure you can use them for something else, but we're going to just use these ones here. And I want you to grab something that is round, and you can create a shape with it, a ring shape. So you want those holes for the calamari. You could use an apple corer or something like that, but I've got an icing tip, you know, those icing when you put the icing on top of cupcakes. I've got one of these, and we're just going to create the holes inside the rings. I like to use a little toothpick because the mushroom rounds get caught inside the tip. I'm sure there's a more efficient, effective way to do this, so I would love to hear how you do it if you attempt this seafood cocktail. Like I said, an apple corer would be a really great way to do this. And can I suggest you want to keep these little round bits as well, because they're just as delicious. Okay, now that we've got those calamari ring shapes, I'm just going to pop those aside. They're going to be our calamari. And with the other 2, we're going to create like a lobster meat or a crab meat. And I want to show you what else you can do with these. It's quite amazing. Take a fork and actually shred them lengthwise. And you can actually use this for all sorts of things, like pulled pork, shredded chicken. Imagine this inside like a chicken and mayo sandwich. Pretty amazing. Instead of using the king oyster mushrooms, you could also use jackfruit, young green jackfruit in the cans with the brine, not the syrup. You don't want to mistake that and get sweet jackfruit, which I've done before. But I find this, if you just want to grab the mushrooms, you can use it in a multiple ways. Let's take the other one. Okay, now that you've done all of that, you can also just break a little bit up with your fingers as well that the fork didn't get. But it's quite amazing, this texture. And when we marinate these, and also we're going to be parboiling the calamari mushroom, it really takes on this texture of seafood. Alright, so to start with, we're going to just boil in a bit of water, some simmering water, the calamari rings. The reason for doing that is once you actually pop them into some water, it becomes that texture. So it goes to another level, more calamari-like than you could imagine. So let's just pop these in some simmering water for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to make the marinade, the most amazing marinade, and we're going to pop first of all this the crab meat inside it. So the most amazing ingredient that you need to get your hands on is vegan fish sauce. There's quite a few brands on the market now. You can go to an Asian grocery store or some organic whole food stores stock it as well. But it's made with things like boiled up with some sea vegetables to really create that delicious seafood flavor. So if you find that there's people in your life who miss this, or you're missing the seafood flavor, then this is going to blow your mind. So what we're going to do is, it's amazing, we're going to put about 1/4 cup of the fish sauce, and I don't have a cup on me, so I'm just going to use tablespoons. That's about 1/4 cup. Now some brands are a little bit more salty than others, so you just might need to balance it with a dash of water. So you could do like 1/4 cup of water as well, just so you're not making this overpowering salty flavor. You also want to put, for that extra seafood flavor, you want to pop some sea vegetables, dried sea vegetables. This one is wakame, and we've got about 2 to 4 tablespoons here. And to make it that more seafoody flavor, we've got about half the juice of half a lemon. Just pop that in there too. Whisk it up. And that's our marinade. Let's put that crab meat inside. Now our calamari will be ready, so we're just going to drain that and add it to the marinade as well. Alright. Okay, now let's pop that drained calamari in here. Oh my gosh, the texture's so amazing. I wish you could feel it yourself. It's fantastic. So just toss that through. Now what you can do with this marinade is if you make it ahead, you can leave it for a few hours, so you save yourself some time. But I would leave it for about a minimum of 10 minutes just to let that those mushrooms soak up those sea veggie flavors. And then you'll be ready to drain it and pop it into the lettuce, ready to make your seafood cocktail salad. Alright, now when this is marinating, we're going to make the special seafood sauce. So just grab a blender, anything that you can pour the soy milk or the oil into. So that's what you're looking for, because you want the blender to stay running so it emulsifies and gets thicker. That's the genius of this recipe. So what we're going to do is use some full fat soy milk. I really like using the Vitasoy Soy Milky, the Soy Milky brand, the regular. There's a lot of great soy milks on the market, but I really love this one. You want it to be whole and fatty because we're trying to make a mayonnaise kind of aioli. So let's not skip on the fat with this one. Remember, it's Christmas, we can enjoy it. Let's be a little bit indulgent. I think as vegans we deserve that, right? So what we're going to do is pour 3/4 cup of that soy milk into your blender and just add a few little flavorings. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of crushed garlic. If you don't want a garlicky flavor, you can leave it out, or you can use crushed or the powder, the garlic powder. And we're going to add some salt, about a teaspoon of salt, and some cracked black pepper. Just a sprinkling, add more if you like it, if you like pepper. And we're going to add some lemon zest. You want the lemon zesty flavor in this seafood cocktail sauce, I think. And we're going to add about quarter of a lemon of lemon zest. And we're going to just get some lemon juice ready as well. You could use vinegar as well, apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, but I'm just going to use that lemon juice just to be consistent with the rest of our recipe. It'll be about 1/4 of a lemon that you want to pop in there. We're going to put that aside. I'll tell you why. And we're going to get blending. Okay, that's all incorporated. I would normally leave that going, but you probably can't hear me over the engine, so I'm going to turn it off and let you know what I'm doing. I'm going to keep the engine running, and we're going to slowly trickle about 1 cup of light flavored oil. So that could be rice bran or sunflower oil. You could try light flavored olive oil as well. We just don't want the flavor, the robustness of the olive oil to come through, so try using other sorts of oils. Yes, it is 1 cup of oil, but remember this is indulgence, so just enjoy it for Christmas. And at the end there, I also used and added that lemon juice. Now, what you might have realized when you're doing this yourself is that it starts to thicken up. So with that oil and the lemon juice, it actually emulsifies, and you can hear it change, and it's this delicious, thick, ready-made to go mayo or aioli. So it's fantastic. You should do this at home all the time. Alright, so now that you've got the seafood sauce ready, I just want to give you another little tip. If you want to make it that really 80s kitsch kind of seafood cocktail sauce, you can add about 1 tablespoon of tomato paste to that, whiz it through, and that gives it that lovely kind of pinky red flavour and look as well. So you can do that if you like. Now we're going to put this seafood cocktail together. This recipe serves 4 small serves, but we're just, for timing, we're just going to do 2 right now to show you how. And we're going to start with some baby cos lettuce. So arrange it however you like it. We're just going to line the dish with some cos lettuce. Alright, so now we're going to get our seafood ready. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and show you what I like to do with it. I like to stir through that seafood cocktail sauce to start with. Just take a little bit out, just so it's creamier and yummier. Okay, just put a dollop in there. Just get your hands in. Oh, it smells so much like seafood, it's amazing. I think your guests will be really impressed with this one. And we're gonna pop that in. Oh, amazing. And you want to reserve just some of those calamari to pop on top so people can see what it looks like. So just dice up some avocado, so cube it up and pop that inside here, and it's just going to be so decadent. Oh, look at that, decadent and lovely. And then just to finish up, we're just going to drizzle a little bit. Let me get my spoon. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of this sauce on top. Amazing. And I can imagine this if you're a drinker. A lovely crisp white wine. I actually just went to Woolworths the other day, the Woolworths liquor, and they have about 3 different vegan Chardonnays, and 2 of those were organic. So it's quite amazing. I can imagine how lovely this will be with that crisp white wine. And you could finish it with some nice 80s old school curly leaf parsley. Remember, we're going kind of kitsch here. And you have your seafood cocktails ready to go. Hi everyone, we are going to make a very special dish today for our main meal for our Christmas dinner or lunch. It's going to be a walnut and mushroom Wellington. Now, we don't want to miss out when we're eating vegan, so we need something really crunchy and yummy and meaty, and this is going to be it. And it's also gluten-free, so vegan gluten-free, we can eat it. So let's get into it. First of all, let's preheat the oven to 200 degrees. and let's get into it. So all you're going to need is a food processor. It doesn't have to be one of those fancy schmancy ones, just one that does the trick. I really suggest getting an S blade though, so it actually cuts up that all the walnuts and nuts properly. Okay, so we're going to put inside this processor 1 cup of walnuts, half a cup of cashews. If you're allergic to cashews, feel free to leave them out. You can just put all walnuts, or you can replace with things like pecans or macadamia as well. We're also going to pop in some mushrooms. Just going to cut them up first. It's about 200 grams, maybe 180 grams of raw mushrooms. And just throw these into the food processor. Whoop, that one went flying. Pop those into the food processor as well. And we're just going to whiz that up for a little bit, just to break it up. Beautiful. So you want that to turn into a bit of a sort of chopped up sort of mince. Now we're going to add some extra flavorings now. We've got half a cup of gluten-free breadcrumbs. You could also just take your own favorite bread, like sliced bread, and just break it up and throw it in there. It doesn't have to be gluten-free if you don't need to eat gluten-free, but just your favorite bread, even sourdough is lovely in this one. Just throw it on in there, about 1.5 slices. And also we've got 1 tablespoon of beef-style stock powder. Now, the brand that we used was the Marcel beef style stock powder. It's beautiful. It also comes in chicken flavor. The brilliant thing about this is that it's actually vegan, so you get that kind of meaty flavor, but also without the cruelty, of course, and it's also gluten-free, so this is a really great one to stock up on. And also we're going to add some garlic. I've got about 1 teaspoon of crushed garlic. You could also use garlic powder if you like. Then a few extra little things. About 1 tablespoon of tamari. You could also use soy sauce if you're not going gluten-free. And also one of my favorite ingredients is liquid smoke. So you get that smoky, meaty flavor. It's really yummy. Some generous dashes is great to have for this one. So if you like a bit smokier, put some more. If not, lessen it up. You absolutely don't need the liquid smoke, but I think it's really lovely. So let's whiz this up. Almost forgot to put the parsley, so grab some chunks of parsley. You can have flat leaf parsley or curly leaf parsley, it doesn't really matter, but this fresh herbs are so lovely within this because it's quite a rich mince that you're making with the meat, with the nuts and the mushrooms and the tamari and the stock powder. It is very rich, so this is just that little element of freshness. So we'll pop those in. I like to measure out about a handful. As you can probably see, I don't really like using measurements, but we're trying our best here so that you can recreate the same thing. Make sure you're scraping down the sides as well, because there's quite a bit of ingredients in here. And what I did was also trickle in about 1/4 cup of water. That way it's just going to come together even more. So let's do that. Beautiful. That's coming together nicely. You can tell it's ready when it's you can pick it up with your fingers and it sticks together. and it resembles that sort of lovely mince. Let's take that out. So now we have the mince all ready to go. I'm going to grab some puff pastry. So all you need is about a sheet and a half of puff pastry. We actually got a gluten-free vegan puff pastry, believe it or not, which is pretty fantastic. And we just got that one at Coles. So it's quite readily available. So you can totally make this gluten-free. So we're going to just pop a sheet and a half on the bench. So I've just cut this one before already. And you can just sort of push the pieces down together. You don't have to be too neat either. That's because that's boring, you know. Let's just push it right in there and make it the shape we want. Okay. Now with the gluten-free pastry, it's just a little bit more fragile than the other ones, so just be careful. All right, let's go and put the mince in the middle. It's okay if it's a little bit messy and going all over the place because you're actually going to get your hands in there, so just make sure they're washed if you're having guests, and push that down into a log shape in the middle of the pastry. See how we're doing that there? And then you can leave it like this, or you can put some vegetables on top. So I love things like some silver beet or spinach, things like carrots or sweet potato. You can sort of parboil them and pop them on top, and that's really lovely. To make things really quick, we're just going to use some raw veggies on top because they'll of course cook in the oven. So what we've got here is some spinach, baby spinach leaves. Very Christmassy. And then we're going to just grate some carrot on top. Well, not grate, just peel. Because really at Christmas time, we don't have like mountains of time up our sleeves, do we? So just grab the peeler, peel off some carrot, and just throw it on top. Easy. Look at that going everywhere. Look at that. So let's pop this on top. And if you've got too much here, it's just a snack for later. Alright, so this is the fun part. This is where we wrap it up. So the pastry end that's closest to you, just carefully fold this over. We've probably got a little too much in here, but that's okay. It's going to be a very full pastry. Like I said, with the gluten-free, it's a little more delicate, so fold those sides in carefully. And it is starting to split, but this is reality. This might happen to you. So I'm going to show you how you can fix it up. So just roll that over, tuck in the sides. Okay. Now, what you can do is just start to fold the pastry and pinch it together so that you don't have any of those holes, those splits. Okay. Don't worry, we're not making a neat Christmas dinner, we're making a delicious Christmas dinner. So just that will do. So we're going to grab the tray. You want an oven tray lined with baking paper, and we're just going to carefully shift that onto the tray. Now what I'm going to suggest here is that if you've got the time, parboil some potatoes, score them, so get that fork over the top, pop them in at the same time. It'll probably take just a little bit longer for the potatoes, but if you've got that room, you might as well do some roast veggies as well. Now, so the air can escape, we're just going to slice some diagonal lines up the top. Don't go all the way through, just on top. It'll let the steam escape, but it also is really handy to give you those cut lines. Now, another thing I love to do is to glaze it with some maple syrup. So pop a couple of tablespoons and grab a pastry brush and just paint on this delicious maple syrup on top of this. Oh, it's very Christmassy, isn't it? You could also use rice malt syrup if you like, and just make it a bit easier to deal with by putting a little bit of water in it, and that can also be this lovely glaze. Okay, it's ready for the oven. We're going to pop it in for at 200 degrees in a preheated oven for about 30 minutes until nice and golden brown and crunchy. Our mushroom walnut Wellington is ready to take out of the oven, so let's pop that out now. Ooh, look at that. It's lovely and crisp and golden brown. Even the edges are quite crispy and browner still, but that's okay. So that was 30 minutes in the oven. I've just got a platter here so I can put it onto something nice to serve it up. And don't try this at home, but I'm actually just going to take that off. Ooh. Ah. Oh, how beautiful is that? I was going to cut it open for you, but it's already cut open for you. So let's just have a look. See how delicious is that? So meaty as well. It's going to be perfect if you serve this with some roast veggies or some cheesy broccoli cauliflower. And now we're going to actually whip up a very special roast style gravy to go with this as well. For our show-stopping Christmas dessert, I've got a delicious one for you, a tiramisu. So this one is actually replicating the traditional version, which uses an egg and egg white as well as a mascarpone cream. You're going to love this one. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and you're probably going to make this more than just once at Christmas, just probably throughout the year. So let's get into it. To create the egg white, we're going to use some chickpea brine, which many of you probably know about, but if you don't, this is a wonderful product discovery by the vegan community, cooking community. The aquafaba, the chickpea brine, or bean water as it translates to, whips up like egg whites. So that's what we're going to do for the first step. So just 1 can of the chickpeas with the brine. Keep the chickpeas for something later. And if you have one of those stand mixers, it's lovely. You can leave it going for 5 to 10 minutes and whisking up. But we've got some hand beaters, and we're going to do it old school style. So we're going to whip it up for about 5 to 10 minutes. Could take in between then until stiff peaks. About a few minutes in, we're going to add half a cup, or sift in half a cup of icing sugar, because you don't want this to taste like chickpeas. Okay, so that will just about do it. So we've got to the stiff peaks, and the way you can test that, a little trick, and do this slowly in case you're not quite ready, it's not quite ready. If you turn or invert the bowl, it should stay there. You know why I say to go slowly, because it might actually fall out. So you know it's ready to go when you can turn your bowl upside down. How cool is that? So we've got the aquafaba egg whites ready to go, and now we're going to make the egg yolk component of this tiramisu. Remember, we're going with the classic, so egg white, egg yolk, and a lot of people don't have the egg yolk because of the hygiene, food safety side of things. So now people often make tiramisu just with the mascarpone or cream cheese or cream, but we're going the traditional, and we're going to show you how. So now we're going to put a few ingredients in the saucepan, so we're going to go over to the oven now. Medium saucepan on a medium heat, you want to put 2 cups of full fat soy milk and about 1/3 of a cup of corn flour. Make sure you really whisk that in because you don't want any lumps. And also we've got some vegan margarine. It's about 1/2 a cup as well. Now we're also going to add some vanilla essence, about a teaspoon. Let's just re-pour that. This is a delicious vanilla extract. And then, because we're trying to mimic that egg yolk, we're just going to give it a dash of turmeric, just to give it that yellow yolky flavor, color. Sorry. Just a tiny bit. You don't want it to taste like turmeric. So you want this to become nice and thick, so wait till that gets a little bit thicker, maybe a couple of minutes on a medium to high heat now. And just stir occasionally until it thickens and it becomes nice and smooth and glossy. Once you see it starting to thicken, you want to just cook it off for about a minute longer and then take it off the heat. I'm going to pour that into a bowl because what we want to do is just cool it down a little bit. There we go. Look at that beautiful oozy custard. Because in the traditional, they make an egg custard anyway, so we'll just skip the egg process and make our own. Corn flour really is a wonderful thing, isn't it? So we're going to just whip this up, just to cool it down, just hand whip it. It doesn't need to be cool, but we just want to get rid of that excess heat. The other wonderful thing about this recipe is it's also gluten-free. Okay, now that you've just whipped it for about a couple of minutes, we're now going to add the mascarpone. Now, we don't seem to have a mascarpone on the market at this stage, a vegan one, so I've just got the She's brand original, so the neutral cream cheese. You don't want the flavoured version, or you could use the tofu one as well. So you want a vegan cream cheese, and we're going to pop the whole thing decadently into this custard. Oh, yum. Now you want to whip this up as well, so we're going to blend it together. So what you're going to have is this delicious custard cream, quite like a pastry cream, and it kind of tastes cheesecakey as well because of the cream cheese. It's really quite delicious, even if you want it as a dessert, just to sort of layer with some berries on its own. So yeah, use this for another recipe too. And let's whip that up. Okay, now we're going to finish this cream off with being able to fold the egg white into this. So we want to do this a little bit at a time. So add a little bit of aquafaba and then fold it through. This is so delicious and decadent, you're going to love it. So it's got that thick, oozy custard cream, and then you've got the lightness of the aquafaba, which just gives this lighter cream to layer in with the coffee dipped biscuit. You actually don't need to use the whole lot of the aquafaba, so you can leave it a little bit aside, and maybe you can use it for something else like dolloping on top of your hot chocolate. Alright, let's put this all together now. We've got our perfect custard cream, and now we're going to dip the biscuits in the coffee. So I've actually got some ground coffee, good Italian coffee, and plunged it, or you can percolate it, but let it cool down because you don't want to use a hot coffee because the biscuits will disintegrate. So we've got about 1.5 to 2 cups even, depending on how much you've made. And let's add something very special this Christmas. And this one is called nocello. It's imported from Italy. It's a vegan liqueur. It's like frangelico, but this one's got hazelnuts and walnuts. It's really amazing. So I'm going to put a bit of a splash, but you could do something like 2 to 4 tablespoons. And remember, it's not going to come through as strongly as you might think, because you've got that strong coffee flavor. It just gives it a hint of that liqueur. So up to you how boozy you want it. If you want it to be alcohol free, just keep the coffee. Okay. Now we're going to get our dish ready and we're going to assemble it all. So you can do this in one big casserole dish, or you can make it in smaller individual little glasses, which is really adorable too, but we're going to keep it as a family serve. So take your biscuits. We've used the Leda brand gluten-free arrowroot biscuit. You can find at Coles and Woolworths. And so you want to dip and place in the dish. I dip them for about 4 to 5 seconds. You want to make sure that coffee and liqueur gets soaked up. So you just want to line the dish with one single layer of the coffee dipped biscuits. Okay, so you've got that single layer. Now you want a nice thick layer of the custard cream on top. Oh, yummy, look at that. Oh, happy Christmas, guys. Oh, it's oozing out the side. Delicious. So you just want, just under half the amount that you've made. Not quite, maybe a third of the custard cream layer on top. There we go. And if you have some reserved, that's fine. You don't have to use it all up. Once again, it depends how many you're serving, how big your dish is, so don't be afraid to leave some on the side. And a layer of the biscuits. And now we're going to put the next layer, final layer of cream on. And to finish it off, we're just going to sprinkle some cocoa or cacao powder over the top. This bitterness of the cocoa really cuts through that sweetness of the rest of the dish, so it's really lovely to top this off with a sprinkling of it. Yum. It's snowing. And to be extra decadent, it might be nice to actually get your favorite dark chocolate, vegan dark chocolate, and shave a few pieces on top of it as well. And once you've finished grating that chocolate on top and garnishing it, you're all done, your tiramisu is ready, and just like me, you're going to have a clean bench by the Christmas fairies. Now, what you want to do is you want to cover this, put it in the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours. You can actually leave it overnight as well, and that will allow the flavors to develop and everything settle even better. So this is a good one to make the day before you want to serve it.